At 74 years old, Bishop Patrick Wooden stunned the world by publicly confronting his own son. And the shocking details of this family feud are now coming to light. What could push a father to call out his own child in such a dramatic way? And what does this mean for their family and the church? Stay tuned, because the truth behind this explosive confrontation is more complicated and more scandalous than anyone could have imagined. Welcome back to the channel, where we dive deep into the most shocking, controversial, and headline-making moments in the world of church leaders and public figures. Then today we're unpacking an explosive story that has rocked the Christian community: Bishop Patrick Wooden, a respected figure in the church, publicly confronting his own son in a way that has left many people stunned and asking questions. In this video, you're going to get the full breakdown: what led to this confrontation, the reactions from family and the congregation, and the hidden tensions that have been simmering behind the scenes for years. We'll explore concrete facts, statements, and details that you won't find anywhere else. So by the end, you'll understand why this story is causing such a massive stir. Make sure you stay until the end, because the final part reveals a twist that even loyal followers didn't see coming, and it could change the way we view this family forever. To truly understand the intensity of this confrontation, we need to go back and examine the history of Bishop Patrick Wooden and his family. Bishop Wooden has long been a prominent figure in the Christian community, known for his powerful sermons, decades of ministry, and leadership that spans churches across multiple states. Over the years, he has built a reputation as a man of faith, discipline, and strong principles. But even the most respected leaders often have complexities in their personal lives that the public rarely sees. His son, who has been in the spotlight due to this confrontation, has had a complicated relationship with his father. Reports suggest that tensions have been simmering for years, fueled by differences in values, expectations, and perhaps even public perception. Sources close to the family indicate that what we're seeing now is not a sudden explosion, but the result of years of unresolved issues that were quietly escalating behind closed doors. Family dynamics like these are never simple. In many cases, children of prominent figures struggle with the pressure of living up to a public image, and this can create deep friction within families. Bishop Wooden's decision to confront his son publicly raises questions about what private discussions may have already failed, and why he felt compelled to make this confrontation a matter of public record. What makes this even more shocking is the setting and timing. The confrontation reportedly happened in a highly visible context, where congregants and witnesses could observe the exchange. This wasn't a private family matter anymore, it was a public spectacle that sent shockwaves through the community. And while we'll get into the exact details of what was said later in the video, it's important to understand the backdrop: a father trying to reconcile authority, legacy, and personal disappointment, all while under the watchful eyes of a devoted congregation. But even with all this context, the question remains: what exactly triggered this public confrontation, and what does it reveal about the relationship between Bishop Wooden and his son? That's what we'll uncover in the next section, and trust me, you won't want to miss the shocking revelations that start to come to light. The moment that set social media and the church community ablaze was the actual confrontation between Bishop Patrick Wooden and his son. According to multiple eyewitnesses, what started as a private discussion quickly escalated into a public showdown that no one expected. Bishop Wooden, known for his calm yet commanding presence, reportedly expressed deep frustration and disappointment over certain choices his son had made, choices that the bishop believed were not only personal missteps, but actions that could negatively impact the church and its followers. While the full details are still emerging, insiders say the confrontation touched on issues ranging from financial decisions to questions of leadership and personal conduct. Imagine a father who has spent decades building a spiritual legacy, standing before his congregation and addressing concerns about his own child's behavior. It's a dramatic scene that many found both shocking and heartbreaking. People in attendance reportedly felt a mix of awe and unease as they witnessed a man respected for his faith publicly holding his son accountable in front of an entire community. Even more compelling is the way Bishop Wooden delivered his message. Sources claim that he spoke with a mixture of authority and sorrow, carefully choosing words that conveyed both his disappointment and his hope for redemption. There's something deeply human about this moment. Behind the religious authority and public persona, there is a father struggling with conflicting emotions: love for his son, concern for the church, and the burden of expectations that come with his position. But the confrontation didn't end there. Reports indicate that the son, visibly shaken, responded in ways that many found surprising. Some say he attempted to defend his actions, while others suggest he showed a level of remorse that hinted at a complicated mix of pride and guilt. This exchange has sparked endless debates online. Was the bishop too harsh? Was the son's response adequate? Or was this confrontation a necessary wake-up call for both family and congregation? And here's where it gets even more intriguing. This public confrontation may have deeper roots than anyone realized. Sources close to the family hint at ongoing tensions over leadership roles, financial management, and even disagreements over the church's direction. These are not petty family squabbles. They are serious matters involving faith, trust, and the future of a spiritual community. By now you might be wondering, what exactly did the bishop say that made headlines around the world? And how did the son respond in that tense, unforgettable moment? In the next section, we'll dive into the explosive details of the exchange itself, including the words that left witnesses stunned and the ripple effects that continue to affect both the family and their congregation. This is where the story takes a shocking turn that no one saw coming, and it's going to change how people view this family forever. The public confrontation between Bishop Patrick Wooden and his son didn't just shock those in attendance, it created waves that spread far beyond the church walls. Almost immediately after the incident, videos and accounts began circulating on social media, sparking intense debates among followers, critics, and curious onlookers. Comments ranged from support for the bishop's decision to confront his son publicly, to outrage at what some called a humiliating display of family conflict. Among the congregation, reactions were just as intense. Many loyal church members expressed empathy for Bishop Wooden, understanding the difficulty of balancing authority, family, and public responsibility. They praised him for being transparent and for holding his son accountable in a way that emphasized moral and spiritual integrity. Others, however, questioned the timing and the method, wondering if such a personal issue should have ever been exposed in a public forum. This division within the church highlights just how sensitive and complex the situation is, and why it has become a talking point across religious communities nationwide. But the fallout didn't stop at social media and church discussions. Reports indicate that private family dynamics were also deeply affected. Friends close to the family suggest that this confrontation brought long-standing issues into the open, issues that had been simmering for years, including differences in opinion on leadership roles, disagreements over finances, and conflicting visions for the future of the church. In many ways, this public confrontation forced both father and son to face truths they may have been avoiding for decades. Insiders also reveal that the bishop's decision may have been influenced by what he perceived as repeated mistakes or patterns of behavior that threatened both his family's reputation and the spiritual well-being of the congregation. Meanwhile, his son's response appears to have been a mixture of defensiveness, regret, and reflection, emotions that anyone in a high-pressure, highly visible family could relate to. The raw human emotion on display made the event not just a scandal, but a real-life drama that people couldn't stop talking about. Adding another layer to the story, some sources hint at additional tension between the bishop and other family members who were caught in the middle. Siblings, relatives, and even close church leaders reportedly had differing opinions about how the situation should have been handled. Some encouraged a private resolution, while others supported the bishop's decision to make the confrontation public, arguing that transparency was necessary to maintain integrity and trust. This behind-the-scenes friction illustrates that what the public saw was only the tip of the iceberg. There are many more layers to this family saga that continue to unfold. Everyone talking. Despite the backlash, both Bishop Wooden and his son appear committed to working through the tension. Sources indicate that private conversations and counseling sessions have been happening since the confrontation, showing that this story is far from over. The public may have witnessed a dramatic moment, but the real resolution is happening behind closed doors, and it could take months or even years to see the full impact. So now the question becomes, how will this confrontation affect the bishop's legacy, the son's future, and the perception of their entire family within the community? In the next section, we'll explore the potential long-term consequences, the lessons this story holds for families everywhere, and the broader implications for church leadership and public accountability. And just wait until you hear the shocking revelation that could change everything we think we know about this family's private struggles. As the dust begins to settle from the public confrontation between Bishop Patrick Wooden and his son, it's important to step back and examine the broader implications of this explosive event, not just for the family involved, but but for the church community and even for families everywhere who may be facing similar struggles behind closed doors. First, let's consider the impact on the church. Leaders like Bishop Wooden are often seen as pillars of moral authority, and their personal actions are closely scrutinized by congregants. A public confrontation of this nature sends a powerful message about accountability, transparency, and the challenges of balancing personal and spiritual responsibilities. Some members of the church view it as a courageous act, a father publicly demonstrating that even those closest to us are not exempt from moral expectations. Others, however, worry about the precedent it sets, questioning whether private family matters should be aired publicly and what effects this might have on younger members who are observing and learning from these events. Beyond the immediate congregation, the story resonates on a human level. Many people can relate to family tensions, disagreements over expectations, and the struggle of balancing authority with love. Bishop Wooden's actions remind us that even highly respected figures face personal dilemmas, and that the line between public responsibility and private life can be incredibly thin. The confrontation highlights how unresolved conflicts, if ignored, can escalate into moments of public spectacle, even when both parties have the best intentions. Another key lesson revolves around the concept of forgiveness and growth. Reports suggest that Bishop Wooden's son has taken the confrontation as an opportunity for self-reflection. While the situation was painful in public, it may serve as a turning point, a chance for reconciliation, personal development, and the rebuilding of trust. This is an important reminder that confrontations, even dramatic ones, do not necessarily end in permanent damage. They can be a catalyst for meaningful change if approached with humility, honesty, and a willingness to repair relationships. The story also raises questions about generational differences, particularly within high-profile families. The expectations placed on children of prominent leaders are often immense. In this case, the pressure of living up to a spiritual legacy, combined with personal ambitions or mistakes, created tension that ultimately spilled into the public eye. It's a stark reminder of how complicated family dynamics can become when tradition, expectation, and public scrutiny collide. Finally, we can't ignore the potential long-term consequences for Bishop Wooden's legacy and the family's public image. While some may argue that the confrontation tarnishes the bishop's reputation, others see it as a demonstration of integrity, a willingness to address problems head-on rather than conceal them. Regardless of perspective, this incident will likely shape how the bishop, his son, and their family are perceived for years to come. The community will be watching closely to see whether this public accountability leads to reconciliation, transformation, or continued tension.